Well, hello there, fellow snack chatters. Hope everyone's having a great day. It's still cold, but hey, I'll get over it. It'll be warm in a couple of days. So, as quick as I can be, talk about something that no one warns you about when life changes: grief. There's this idea out there that when you lose the weight, hit certain milestones, cross finish line that you never thought you would cross, you're supposed to be nothing but happy. Don't get me wrong. I am proud. I am grateful. I am happy. But I also grieve. I grieve for the years of hiding, for the version of me who didn't know better, that I still tried to do my best. But I was still grieving. I was still dying on the inside. I avoided photographs. I look back and I think, now, of course, when you want to do comparisons or when you want to look at how far you've come, and don't get me wrong, I've got photographs, but then there are photographs that don't really tell the story. I hid. There, I look at so many photographs that I was the one in the back because I never wanted to be seen. And then when I started losing the weight, I started putting myself more towards the front, but I knew I still had this one looking at me, that one looking at me. So then I started moving towards the back. And then I think about, in the last few years, races that I never thought I would run. Growth doesn't erase the past. It just puts it into perspective. Pride is loud. You have your medals, milestones, weight loss milestones, gym selfies, finish lines. Sometimes grief is quiet. You have a memory. I look at photographs of me with my dad or my brothers, or even with other family members, and I look at those pictures, and of course I look at myself now, whereas I would try to take an arm and cover myself because I felt like if I took an arm and covered my chest or my stomach, that you wouldn't see as much. Back then, it was very emotional, and I can still get emotional talking about where I was versus what I am now. And it's just mind-blowing because I think those hand gestures, and I think, you idiot, there was no hiding all nearly 600 pounds of you. But I thought that if I moved my hands a certain way across my chest or my stomach, that people wouldn't notice it as much. And sometimes a smell can send you back. There are certain, and I've said it before, there are certain foods that just send me in a frenzy. And then you listen to an old song, you can think instantly what you were doing, who you were with, or even what you were eating. I tend to avoid a lot of those songs just because there are some memories I don't want to remember, I want to forget. Both can exist in the same body. They can even sit at the same table. Now, don't take this as I'm not proud of who I am today, because you're mistaken. I am very proud of who I am today. I'm proud of who I survived being yesterday, and it keeps getting better. I think back to those old pictures from, I don't know, the mid to late 20s until the 2017, 2018. And it's just crazy. There's always going to be this photograph of me and my dad that I'm always going to reference, and I'm always going to look at, and I'm going to be grateful for several reasons. Of course, the first thing I do when I look at it, it was his last Thanksgiving that we were together. So I'm grateful for that, to have that memory. But I'm also grateful for, it was in the very beginning of my weight loss, the first time, or maybe second, third, or fourth time, but it was a weight loss journey that he was a part of. And just like I'm sitting here telling you this story, I will never forget. We always took pictures at the end of the day, Thanksgiving, Christmas, or whatever we were celebrating, and I always wanted to take pictures. Not necessarily of myself. I mean, yes, I wanted pictures with me or my family or whomever, but it was more so to have pictures of my niece or my nephews, because I thought, even now, I think back all the pictures that I don't have of me or my brothers when we were kids, because Didn't take a lot of pictures. I have several pictures, but I knew that I wanted to change that with my niece and my nephews. I wanted as many pictures of them as I could possibly get, because one day they would have those to look back on. It was always a joke. My oldest nephew, Christopher, at Thanksgiving or Christmas, and he was out there, I said, come on, let's take pictures. He said, Uncle Michael, not another picture. Yes, Christopher, one day you'll be glad I have all these pictures. And maybe now he thinks a little differently, because now my baby boy is a father himself, and he takes a lot of pictures. But going back, and I had a squirrel, but going back to that last photograph I have with my dad, it was one of those moments where we stood in a spot where we normally would stand out in my grandparents' driveway, and he put his arm around me, and he's like, Jesus Christ, son, I can't even put my arm around you. And I thought, well, Daddy, I know that. But you could instantly get upset or that, or you could cherish the moment in which now I cherish that moment. Then I probably didn't cherish it, because once again, my dad was getting onto me about my weight, but he said, I will be glad, son, when I can wrap my arms around you one day. And in that moment, you take that for granted, because you just instantly thought that he would be here, that he would still be here to see when I began the journey for weight loss surgery. He was the first person I wanted to call and say, Daddy, I'm gonna go through with this weight loss surgery, making that drive to Arkansas. And I've told my brother Ryan this several times. I said, because my mom and my brother Joseph went up with me, and then Ryan and his wife and youngest son came up several days later, and I remember making a joke about it. And I said, well, wouldn't this have been fun for Mama and Daddy to go up? Because I just knew that my dad would have been in Arkansas too, and we would have had to find a way for it all to work out. I think so many times, college graduation, both times, and my dad's always, and I know somewhere, somehow, he has seen these accomplishments. You have those memories, and that is what you stick to. You hold on to those memories. And I guess I'll say this, and then I'm going to end this before you see a big crybaby. Those that we lose, as long as we remember them and talk of them, they never die.